Namaskar, greetings to everyone. Hope you are all doing well. Let us continue our Gita study. Today we begin chapter 8. We have finished 7 chapters. 8th chapter is very interesting and has something very important that all of us can and have to practice every day, every moment of our lives. Very important. That will take us to the ultimate goal. We will discuss that. Let us begin with a prayer. This shloka is from Narada Pancharatra. I have not studied that book, but it is in this Universal Prayers, page 158. The middle one. Page 158, the second one. Om Dhyayante yogino yogat siddha siddheswarashchayam tam dhyaye satatam shuddham bhagavantam sanatanam sevetam satatam santo ब्रह्मेश शेष सम्यकाः सेवन्ते निर्गुणं ब्रह्म भगवन्तं सनातनम् ओम शांति शांति शांति. Always do I meditate on that Supreme Being who is eternal and pure and who is meditated upon by the adepts, super adepts and the yogins. I always serve that Lord Eternal, who is the attributeless Brahman, served by the Creator and the Destroyer of the universe and other gods. Om peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti, may there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shanti, may there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Devika Shanti. Chapter 8 begins with a barrage of 7 questions by Arjuna. Arjuna asks 7 questions in the first 2 verses. Out of these 7 questions, 2 are very important. The answers to 2 are very important. Bhagavan Shri Krishna answers the first 6 questions in a few words. In 2 shlokas, 6 questions are answered. Just 1 line definitions. First 6 things. The last question, Arjuna's last 7th question, Sri Krishna explains in many verses. And up front I want to point out something very important. Please make a note of these 4 verses. You will study them, but in advance intimation. Verses 5, 6, 7 and 13 in chapter 8. They contain the answer to the 7th question, Arjuna's 7th question. 4 verses, some other verses also. But the first 6 questions are answered in 3 lines. So we will study the 7 questions of Arjuna, and 2 of them we will study in detail, others not much in detail. Atha akshara brahma yogo nama ashtamodhyayah. Arjuna uvacha kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam अधिदैवं किमुच्यते अधियज्ञः कथं कोत्र देहेऽस्मिन् मधुसूदन प्रयाणकाले च कथं ज्ञेयोऽसि नियतात्मभिः. First two verses containing 7 questions. Some of these are merely technical terms. Let us see. Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna asks, Kim Tad Brahma? First question, what is Brahman? Most important question in Vedanta, what is Brahman? That's the first question. Kim Tad Brahma? What is that Brahman? Question number 1. Kim Adhyatmam? What is Adhyatmam? Second question. Kim Karma? What is karma? O Purushottama, O Supreme Lord, what is karma? 3. Third question. Adhibhutam cha kim proktam? What is Adhibhutam? Fourth question. Adhidaivam kimuchyate? What is Adhidaivam? Fifth question. 5 questions in 2 lines. Second shloka. Adhiyajñam katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana. O Bhagavan Krishna Madhusudana. What is Adhiyajña in this body? Asmin dehe, in this body. Adhiyajñam katham kaha atra. What is Adhiyajña? 6th question. Last question. Prayana kale cha katham jneyosi niyatatmabhihi. Prayana kala means departure time, departure from this world. This is not our permanent place. We have to depart one day. Whether we like to or not, the departure has to happen. At the time of departure, prayana kale, katham jnayosi, how are we to think about you? By niyatatmabhihi, those who have controlled their mind. Niyatatma is a person who has controlled the mind. By such people who have controlled their minds, how are they supposed to think about you at the time of departure, at the time of death? That is the 7th question. So now you see, Bhagavan Sri Krishna answers the first 6 questions in 3 lines. Very quickly, very short definitions. The first answer to the first question, Kim Tat Brahma, that is very important. What is Brahman? That's the whole of Vedanta, what is Brahman. The last question, how to think about God at the time of departure. Most important. More important than knowing Brahman, we have to do this one to know Brahman. In between these 5 questions, we can just gloss over. Sri Krishna himself has glossed over. So let us see the answer. In shloka number 3, Sri Bhagavana Vacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavodhyatmamuchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhavakaro Visarga Karma Sangnitaha. Sri Bhagavana Vacha, the Lord replies, first answer to first question, very short answer. Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Arjuna's question was, Kim Tad Brahma? What is Brahman? Answer is, Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Akshara means imperishable. Kshara, Akshara. Akshara also means the letter of the alphabet, not that meaning. Akshara means something that does not perish, imperishable, eternal, infinite, unchanging, supreme reality, Brahman. Aksharam Brahma Paramam, that is supreme reality. Brahman is imperishable, supreme reality. That is the answer. Short answer, no explanation. But we will have to understand a little bit more what is Brahman. I will come to that. Second answer to second question, Svabhavodhyatmamuchyate. Svabhava means one's own nature. What is one's own nature? the divine presence within us, that is our true nature. We are that divine, though we may not be experiencing that divinity within us right now. Didn't Swamiji say famously, each soul is potentially divine. The goal is to realize that divinity. The goal of life, human life, is to realize, experience that divinity. So we are divine. That's our svabhava. We are, whether we are aware of it or not, experiencing it or not, we are divine. That's what we are divine beings. Sachidananda is sitting right here within each one of us, unconditionally. So that is svabhava. Svabhava means the divine, the individual self in each being. That is, in each being, you can visualize, but this example is not accurate, but I will give it anyhow, this imagery. There is a lot of space, outer space, infinite space everywhere. Space is everywhere. But some space is in this cup also, small cup, 7 ounces capacity. So what is the difference between the space in this cup and the space, outer space, outside the building, in the solar system, in this galaxy, Milky Way, everywhere? Same space, there is no difference. So the divine presence within us is same as the divine presence, Supreme Reality Brahman. So that's our divine nature. We are that. The individual in each self is svabhava. That is the divine presence within us. What does it do? It serves as the subject. Supposing I say, I eat. Then the subject is I. Who is that I? What's the basis for that I? The divine presence. Otherwise, if the only body is there, the body cannot speak or even eat. What makes the body able to eat and speak that he is eating or eating is the divine presence. That is svabhava. If I simply say eat, then it makes no sense. Who is eating what? I eat. Sentence is complete. It is that I that is the divine presence. The divine presence is the basis for that I when I say I am doing something or he is doing something. Individual. That is a svabhava. Svabhava, that is called adhyatmam. Adhyatmam means the divine presence within each one of us. So two answers. Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Brahman is supreme imperishable reality. Adhyatma is the divine presence within each one of us. Third answer to third question. Second line in Shloka 3. Bhuta bhavod karo visarga karma samhitaha. Visarga means creation, whole creation. How does this whole creation happen? How is it sustained? We studied that to some extent in the third chapter. Probably it is forgotten because it was so long ago, chapter 3. 2 shlokas in chapter 3 describing the cosmic yajna. Sometimes you have to go back and refresh our earlier, what we studied earlier. In chapter 3, 2 shlokas 14, 15. Those 2 shlokas describe the cosmic process of creation, sustenance, how things are happening as yajna throughout nature. He says, there we studied annad bhavanti bhutani. All the beings, people, animals, plants, they are nourished by a food. How does food come? Parjanyadanna sambhavaha. Parjanya means rain. Rain is necessary for food to grow. How does rain come? Yajnat bhavati parjanyaha. Yajna. All action that people do that causes rain. Earlier days, Vedic yajna they used to do. The smoke used to go, fumes used to go and join the clouds and cause the rain to happen. Yajnat bhavati parjanyah. How does yajna happen? Yajna karma samudbhavaha. We are studying chapter 3, 14, 15. Cosmic creation, process of creation. Yajna karma samudbhavaha. All karma can be done as yajna. Karma is necessary for yajna to happen. Where does karma come from? Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. Brahma here means the Vedas. In the Vedas, karmas are described. And where does the Veda come from? Brahma akshara samudbhavam. Veda comes from Akshara Brahma, Parabrahma, Supreme Reality. He is the cause, source of everything. That whole cycle of process, cyclic process, one thing leading to another, supporting another, is called karma. Bhuta bhavo. What does it do? Bhuta bhavo udbhavakara. It causes the birth of all the beings. Annat bhavanti bhutani, all beings are created in this way, in the cosmic cycle. So that is called karma. Annat bhavanti bhutani. That. Now we go to the next sloka. What is adibhutam? Adibhutam is adibhutam ksharo bhavaha. Sloka number 4, first part. Adibhutam ksharo bhavaha. Kshara means perishable. Akshara means imperishable. Kshara means perishable. All perishable things, material, physical things, they perish sooner or later. Big or small, everywhere, everything, physical, material, has to one day perish. So perishable things are called adibhutam. Just a simple definition. Then I'll explain the background for these things. Adibhutam ksharo bhavaha. The next question is, what is adidaivatam? Purushascha adidaivatam. Purusha means the divine being. Purusha purnam anena sarvam iti. Purishayanat va purusha. Adityantargatah hiranyagarbha sarva prani karananam anugrahaka sadidaivatam. Says here, the Purusha or spirit is that which fills all what reclines in the city, that is Hiranyagarbha, installed in the sun, who protects instruments of action and cognition. Here, Adidaivatam means the divine presence in the celestial sphere, the divine celestial sphere. Adidaivatam. Adhyatma in the individual presence, Adidaivatam in the cosmic plane. Divine presence in the cosmic plane. Then one more question. Sixth question. Adiyajño hame vatra deve dehabhritam vara. Fourth shloka, second line. What is Adiyajña? Arjuna asked. So Sri Krishna says, Atra dehe ahameva adiyajñaha. Sri Krishna addresses Arjuna as Dehabhratamvara. Deha means body. Dehabhrana means supporting the body, having a body. We are all Dehabhrat, every one of us, because we all have a body. Sometimes it gives trouble, but still we have to have the body. Dehabhratamvara, the best among human beings. O Arjuna, Atra dehe ahameva adiyajñaha. All the processes happening in the body as yajna, we saw earlier in the 4th chapter, everything is yajna, including eating. Brahmarpadam Brahmahavihi, we remember 424. All that yajna process happening in the body is myself, ahameva, the Lord himself. Vishnu is himself yajna. So, Yajño vai Vishnu, like this in the Vedas it is said. It is Lord Vishnu himself who is performing all the yajñas in our body. We will know that from 15th chapter. 15th chapter when we go, there is a sloka number 14. Make sure I give the right number. It must be 14, chapter 15. Yes, 14. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna clearly explains that he is performing all the yajna in our bodies. Digesting food, distributing the nutrition to every element, every cell in the body, facilitating breathing in and out, all other actions, he is performing. He is Vishnu. That is Adi Yajna. So, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva, 15-14, very important shloka. Praninam Dehamashritaha Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachamyannam Chaturvidham Adhiyajnaha Ahameva Atra Dehe. I am Vishnu Bhagavan, myself, I am the Adhiyajna. That power that facilitates not only in human beings, in animals and plants also. This yajna is happening all the time. Even if you take a tree or a plant, that yajna is happening by the power of God present in the tree or plant or in the animal also. So that is Adi Yajna. 6 questions are answered. Now 7th question was Prayana Kalecha Katham Jnayosi Niyatatmavihi. By those who are practicing control of their mind, how are they to think about you at the time of departure? 7th question. We will keep that a little bit, wait a little bit to answer that question, because that's a long answer and very important answer. Before we go to the answer to the 7th question, I want to go back to the first question. Kim tad Brahma? What is that Brahma? Vedanta says the whole, everything is Brahman. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Like this, in the Chandogya Upanishad, a very famous statement is there. Whatever we see, whole creation, whole universe is all Brahman alone, appearing in this way when seen through the sense organs by the mind. When the mind becomes absolutely pure in Samadhi, all the names and forms and good and bad, everything will disappear, only pure consciousness. An infinite ocean of pure consciousness in Samadhi. That has to be known only by experience. Now it is speculative at this stage. What happens in Samadhi, if we talk about that, it is not based on experience, it is kind of speculative, but that is Brahman is Sachidananda, supreme reality. What is that Brahman? I like to read a passage from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, a good part of the Upanishad contains teaching of the great sage Yajnavalkya. Yajnavalkya teaches many people, including his wife Maitreyi. So here in the 3rd chapter of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya explains what is that Akshara. In the first answer to first question, Arjuna's first question, Kim Tad Brahma, Sri Krishna said Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Brahman is supreme, imperishable reality, supreme Paramam. Now what is that supreme reality, Akshara? What is Akshara? That is explained by the great sage Yajnavalkya to another sage, woman saint Gargi. So this passage is in chapter 3 of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, section 8, passage number 9. I'll read the English translation. It begins like this. Etasya va aksharasya prashasane gargi surya chandramasau vidritau tishtataha. Under the mighty rule of this immutable Brahman Akshara, O Gargi, the sun and the moon are held in their positions. Everything in nature works by the power of Brahman. Etasya va aksharasya prashasane gargi java prithivyav vidrite tishtataha. Most beautiful passage. O Gargi, The sun and moon are held in their positions. Under the mighty rule of this immutable Akshara Brahman, O Gargi, heaven and earth maintain their positions. I'll read the translation. Under the mighty rule of this immutable, O Gargi, moments, muhurtas, a muhurta is a span of 48 minutes, measure of time. Days and nights, fortnights, months, seasons and years are held in their respective places. They all happen automatically in nature by the power of the divine, by the power of Brahman. O Gargi, some rivers flow eastward from the white mountains, others flow westward, continue in that direction, and still others keep in their respective courses. Under the mighty rule of this immutable Brahman, O Gargi, men praise those that give, the gods depend on the sacrificer, and the mains and on independent offerings, Darvi, Homa, etc. Then the next passage also is not a definition of Brahman, description, but the goal of life. What are we supposed to do with this information? Brahman is supreme reality. Arjuna's question was, Kim Tad Brahma? First question. Answer Sri Krishna gave was, Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Brahman is imperishable, supreme reality. Paramam, supreme reality. That's all he gave. Now, what is that Brahman? The source of all creation. The Brahman itself is the whole creation, appearing as in creation. And by Brahman's power, all these processes happen in nature. Sun rising and earth rotating around the sun, day and night, and rain, and people, animals, plants living, all those things are happening by the power of Brahman. That is a definition of Brahman, supreme reality. Now, what are we supposed to do with this information? That is more important. Yajnavalkya in the next passage, he says, Yova etadaksharam gargi aviditva asmalokat praiti sakripanaha. That person who departs from this world, asmat lokat praiti, who departs, that means dies. Yaha etadaksharam aviditva, before knowing this Aksharam, Brahman. That means before gaining Brahma Jnana. If we die before gaining knowledge of Brahman, self-knowledge, then what happens? Saha Kripanaha. Such a person is a wretched person. Kripana is a wretched person. This word Kripana comes in the second chapter of the Gita, a long time ago. We may not remember. Those who are attached to the fruits of karma phala, fruits of karma, they are kripanas. Anyway, here we have to realize that Brahman, our nature as Brahman, before leaving the body. That is why it is important. And then he says in next sentence, Athaya etadaksharam gargi viditva asmal lokat praiti sabrahmanaha. Beautiful passages in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That person who leaves the body, that means dies, after knowing Brahman, etadaksharam viditva. Such a person is a noble person. Saha Brahmana, he is knower of Brahman. So we should all keep that as the goal of this life, to know Brahman, our divine nature. We are that, but not knowing that we are that, and simply spending the whole lifetime thinking we are the body and the mind, which is not the truth, wasting this precious human birth in pursuing the needs of the body and the mind, and not ever knowing our true nature as Brahman. If we lead our life that way, then we will have wasted the most precious opportunity to know the self. That is why the answer to that question, though very short, only 2 words are there. Arjuna's question was, Kim Tad Brahma? Krishna's answer was, Aksharam Brahma Paramam. Brahman is supreme imperishable reality. Why that is important? Yajnavalkya says. Everything happens by the power of Brahman. Chandogya Upanishad says the whole universe is Brahman. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything, including all of us, are Brahman. And we have to know that, our true nature. That's the reason why we are being given this human birth. Only human beings can know God, can do spiritual practice. So, having achieved this most precious gift of human birth, if we don't reach the goal of self-knowledge or pure devotion for devotees, Shuddha Bhakti, that is okay, then we will have wasted this life. That's why the first question, answer to first question, Aksharam Brahma Paramam, is very important. Now the remaining 5 questions, they are all simply various ways in which the divine presence can be seen in nature. There is only one divinity, Brahman, but it appears as all these different things. So these are all various things. To give an example, Adhyatma, Adhibhota, Adhidaivam, Adhiyagnya, all those things, what are they? They are all various ways in which divine appears in the visible field, to the mind and to the sense organ. The various ways in which God can be seen, functioning or appearing. It's just like this. Take the example of water. Water is one substance, but it appears in so many different ways. Water appears as regular water which you can drink from a cup. Water appears flowing in a river, moving. Water appears in an ocean with waves. Water appears as vapors in the clouds. And water appears as raindrops. Water appears as snow. Water appears as ice. So many different ways. But what is substance? Only one substance. So Brahman is like that. Adhyatma, Adhibhota, Adhideva, Adhiyagnya, all those things, all Brahman, appearing differently in different contexts. That's all we have to know. And the Brahman is a supreme reality. And we have to know that goal of life. So those things are understood now. Now we go to the 7th question, which is the most important question. And we have to study that in some detail. Sri Krishna himself takes many slokas to answer that 7th question. Very important. So let us do sloka number 3. 5. Visarga karma samyitaha. Sloka number 5, 6, 7 and 13 later. They are very important slokas. Please make a note of them. So let me chant sloka number 5. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayaha. Sloka number 6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. 7. Sloka number 7. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhya cha mayyarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasya samshayaha. Sloka number 7 contains instruction, what we have to do. So let us go to sloka number 5. Very important sloka. Antakale mameva smaran. Remembering me alone. Mam means Bhagavan, the Lord. Remembering me alone, mameva smaran. Kalevaram muktva. Kalevaram means the body. Muktva, giving up the body at the last moment. Remembering me, mameva smaran. That is the key point. Yaha prayati. That person who departs. That person who dies thinking of God at the last moment. Saha madbhavam yati. He proceeds, achieves my status. That means becomes one with God. This is a very important key point. Simple, but very important. Whatever thought is uppermost in our minds at the last moment of this life, that indicates our destination, where we are going to go after death. That is explained in sloka number 6. Let us go to verse number 6. Then we will give some examples. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Bhavam, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Bhavam means any subject or object, anything. Anything is a bhava. Bhavam. Here it says Devata Vishesham, any aspect of God. We can think about anything at the time of death. If a person who is a businessman, he is likely to think about his business at the time of death. He will be probably thinking, I should have sold that property last year, that is causing loss now. I should have bought the other property, that would have been better. Some like the business related matter he will be thinking generally, because that's what he has been thinking all his life. Every day he thinks about business. He goes to business, the deal, what to buy, what to purchase, what to sell. That's what he will be thinking generally. And the mother who has small children, she will be thinking about her children at the time of her death. Who will take care of my children? She is concerned, worried. Mother's heart, love for children. She is thinking about her children. Like this, people will be thinking of whatever they have been thinking in their lifetime generally at the time of death. If a person has been thinking about God most of the time in his or her lifetime, then he or she will be thinking about God at the time of departure, at the time of death. And whatever is the thought in the mind of a person who is dying at the last moment of his life, that will show where that person is going to go after leaving the body. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam chajati bhavam ante kalevaram chajati. Yam yam vapi bhavam smaran. Whatever subject a person is thinking at the time of giving up the body, tam tamevaiti kaunteya. He will reach that goal. We hear the famous story of that Bharata who had a pet deer, and he was very much attached to the deer, Harina. And he was thinking about the deer. At the time of death also he was thinking about the deer. Then the story goes that he was born as a deer. Because he was so much attached to it. Whatever thought we are thinking at the time of death, last moment, that shows where we are going to go, what we are going to become. So if a businessman thinks about his business and gives up the body, then he will again be born as a businessman and continue that business. Same story, because he is so much attached to it, he is thinking about it. However, if a person thinks about God, any form of God, it doesn't matter, your chosen ideal. It can be Rama or Krishna or Jesus or Buddha or Shiva or Parvati or Durga or Kali, your choice. Whatever aspect of God you are thinking about at the time of death, then we will go to God, we will merge in God, we will reach God. Therefore, we have to make an effort to think about God at the time of death. But the problem is difficult. It is not so easy. We can say that now. At the time of death, most of the time, some of the people are unconscious. They lose consciousness several days or whatever before giving up the body. So when a person is unconscious, what he or she is thinking, we don't know. If the person is conscious, that person may be thinking about some treatment that he should have received. If I had gotten that treatment, I would have, my health would have improved. Some health related thought may be in his mind, or something like that. Worldly matter may be in that mind, or who will take care of my family or my business, like that one. That's likely to happen. But if you want to make sure that we want to think about only God and nothing else at the time of death, what we have to do? Sri Krishna says in the next verse, verse number 7, if you want to make sure that you will think about God at the time of death and nothing else, then you have to practice thinking about God every moment from this moment onwards. That's what we have to do. That's the most important instruction. If you want me to point out one instruction in the Gita, this is going to be that one. What to do? Practice thinking about God. Constant remembrance, constant recollection. So he says in verse number 7, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayyarpita mano buddhihi mame vaishyasya samshayaha. Tasmat, therefore, that means if you want to think about God at the time of death, if you want to leave the body thinking about God, then you must always think about me, practice constant remembrance, constant recollection. Sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara. Anusmara means think, remember, constant recollection. However, this should not be at the expense of our duty. We have to perform our duty, whatever it is. We cannot say, I'll think about God and I will not go to work today, and that won't work. We have to do our work also. That also adds yudhyacha. Yudhya means fight. Arjuna's duty, this conversation happened in the battlefield. So Arjuna's duty at that time was to fight. You are not, should not take literally, say Krishna is asking us to fight. We should always start fighting. No, not like that. Yudhya means perform your duty, which happens to be fighting for Arjuna at that moment, but not always. After the war was over, there is no more fighting for Arjuna also. Before war, there was no fighting. That's only at that time. Whatever is our duty at this moment, that we have to do diligently, lovingly, gratefully, and then remember God. Associate all actions with God. I am doing everything for God. That we are doing your work, you are remembering God. Both you are doing. That is why Sri Krishna in many places in the Gita has said, whatever work you do, do it as an offering to me. Do it as my worship. Chapter 18, verse number 46. It has come many times. There Sri Krishna said, whatever work you do, do it as a worship, as my worship, God's worship. By sweeping the floor is worship of God, because Lord lives in this house of sweeping. Keep this floor clean for Him. That is worship. If you keep that attitude, you are remembering God, you are doing your duty at the same time. So the thought of God will come to us at the time of death. If I have been thinking about God all the time in my life, then most likely I'll be thinking about God at the time of death. To make sure that it happens, I have to practice thinking about God from now on, constant recollection. You have heard the story of the pilgrim, Russian pilgrim. Constantly was repeating the Jesus mantra. Several times that story has come, the Russian pilgrim. The story of Brother Lawrence also I have heard. He was a cook in the monastery, Carmelite monastery in France. He had to cook. Sometime from cooking duty, he was transferred to shoe repair duty. He had to repair the shoes of other monks. All the time he was thinking only about God. Everything is worship of God. Every time he never forgot God. Even when he was cooking or repairing the shoes or whatever he was doing, he was constantly thinking about God. Constantly. So you have to read the lives of Brother Lawrence, the letters that he wrote, Practice the Presence of God. That is the name of the book. Practice of the Presence of God. And the Russian pilgrim, the way of the pilgrim, and the pilgrim continues the way. In the same way, at the time of death, how one can remember God? 2 examples I will give. One is Kalipada Ghosh. This household disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, Kalipada Ghosh, he was a close friend of Girish Chandra Ghosh. They used to go for drinking together. Kalipada was leading a bohemian lifestyle, no interest in spiritual life, and he was not taking care of his wife. So, one day what happened, his wife was very much in trouble. This man would not go home and do anything. So, she went to the Kali temple in Dakshineshwar to pray to Divine Mother Kali. Then she came to know that there are Paramahamsa living there. So she went to his room and prayed for relief. My husband is like this, please bless. Sri Ramakrishna sent her to Holy Mother. He said, no, I don't know anything, that there is a lady there in that building, you go, she will help you. So this Vishnu Priyangini, her name, Kalipada's wife, she went to Holy Mother and explained her problem. Holy Mother said, I am just a housewife, I am cooking, cleaning, he is the Paramahamsa, you go to him. She sent her back to Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna sent her back to Holy Mother. Holy Mother sent her back to Sri Ramakrishna. This happened 3 times. When 3rd time when she went to, Vishnu Priyangini went to Holy Mother, she, out of compassion, Holy Mother had just finished her morning puja. She took a bay leaf from the puja offering, wrote name of Sri Ramakrishna, gave that leaf to that lady and said, keep it with you, repeat this name every day, things will gradually change. So that lady took that leaf and started chanting God's name. Things didn't change. 1 year, Kalipada same, no change in behavior, would not come home at night. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years passed. No change in Kalipada's behavior. 12 years passed. Then what happened one day, Girish Chandra Ghosh told Kalipada, his friend, say, today I am going to Dakshineshwar, there is a Paramahamsa, would you like to go with me? So Kalipada said yes. He didn't know what he was, who Paramahamsa was or anything. He went. When he went to Kalipada Ghosh, entered Sri Ramakrishna ashram, Sri Ramakrishna was standing lost in samadhi, inebriated, divine inebriation. Kalipada thought this man must have taken some very strong drink. He thought like that. So, Kalipada asked Sri Ramakrishna, what have you taken? Is it a British made that you have taken? Can I have a little bit of that? Sri Ramakrishna says, it's not British made, it's homemade. It's very strong. Do you want it? It's very strong. Kalipada says, yeah, give me something which keeps me like that. So, Sri Ramakrishna simply touched him. One touch. That's it. Immediate transformation. Sudden transformation. Kalipada started crying profusely, could not stop crying. No matter how much he was consoled. Transformation happened. Then he started going to Sri Ramakrishna, visit him. One day he went, hired a boat, Kalipada hired a boat and went to Dakshineshwar to see Sri Ramakrishna alone. He went to Sri Ramakrishna ashram. He told the boatman to wait for return journey. He went to Sri Ramakrishna ashram. There Sri Ramakrishna was there and Adbhutananda Swami Latu Maharaj was there. So Kalipada Ghosh started talking, and then during conversation, Sri Ramakrishna said, I was thinking of going to Calcutta today to somebody's house for satsang. Immediately Kalipada Ghosh seized that opportunity. He said, I have a boat ready waiting, I can take you, you go with me. So Sri Ramakrishna agreed. So all the three of them entered the boat. Sri Ramakrishna, Latu Maharaj and Kalipada Ghosh entered the boat. Kalipada had hired the boatman. So he whispered something in the boatman's ears, Kalipada. And then the boat started moving. When the boat went to the middle of the river, it didn't go further. It simply started circling there. Sri Ramakrishna said, we have to go forward. Why the boat is not going forward? You are circling here. The Kalipada immediately firmly held both Sri Ramakrishna's feet, would not give up. Sri Ramakrishna said, what can I do for you? I have already given you all the instructions. Kalipada said, you have to save me. So Sri Ramakrishna, no matter how much Kalipada would not leave his feet. So finally Sri Ramakrishna wrote something on Kalipada's tongue and told him, this mantra will go on automatically, you don't have to do anything and you will get everything, liberation, everything. You don't have to do anything. Kalipada did not agree. No, this is not sufficient. What else do you want? I have given you everything. He said, you must promise that at the time of my death, you will come, because I have led a very sinful life and I will be surrounded by total darkness at the time of end death, Kalipada is saying. And I want you to come holding a lamp in your left hand, and with your right hand you must hold my right hand and lead me forward. Promise that. Sri Ramakrishna, yes Baba, I will do that one. Promised him. There was no other way. Then they both moved forward. So this happened. About say 15 years later, in the meantime Sri Ramakrishna passed away in 1886. Then Kalipada Ghosh's time came, departure time came. At that time, he had become a transformed person. Not the original Kalipada Ghosh, different person. At that time, Swami Premananda was visiting Kalipada Ghosh, last day of Kalipada Ghosh's life. Swami Premananda was there. Then Sri Ramakrishna came and took Kalipada Ghosh by his hand. Kalipada Ghosh's right hand was lifted like this. Thakur came and held it and took him forward. That is the power of divine grace. At the last moment, Kalipada made sure that he will have Sri Ramakrishna come to take him on. Many instances are there like this. Next time, I will talk about Rasika, the sweeper in the Dakshineshwar garden. We can do it now, we still have 5 minutes. This Rasika was a sweeper, janitor in the Dakshineshwar garden, and being a janitor, he could not enter the building. His job was to keep the premises clean. So you would see many people go to Sri Ramakrishna's room, there will be some discussion, talk, dancing and music and everything, devotional song, everything, but he could not do anything. So I was feeling bad, I am only a sweeper. So one day, he had the habit of drinking whenever he got some money. So he drank a little bit too much and he was lying down on the grounds. Sri Ramakrishna was walking, looked at him, why have you drunk so much? This Rasika says, sir, usually I don't have any money to drink. 2-3 days ago somebody died, somebody's mother died, and they gave me some money to do the cleaning. So with that money I drank. Every day nobody's mother dies, so I won't have any money like this, he said. Simple man. Sri Ramakrishna said, don't drink that much. So another day, Rasika was waiting for an opportunity to seek Sri Ramakrishna's blessings. So one day Sri Ramakrishna was walking from the Panchavati side going towards his room, and Rasika was there, nobody else was there. He seized the opportunity. He did prostration in front of Sri Ramakrishna, Rasika, and then crying, he said, oh Father, what will happen to me? Baba, my ki hove, what will happen to me? Please bless me. And like this he cried. Sri Ramakrishna blessed him. He said, don't worry. When you go home, have some tulsi plants in front of your home, and every day sit down near the tulsi plants and repeat God's name. Do that much. So Rasika started doing that one. So he did that one. In the meantime, Sri Ramakrishna passed away. Rasika retired and went home. And as he had been told by Sri Ramakrishna, he grew some tulsi plants in front of his home. He used to sit down near the tulsi plants and repeat God's name. Like this, some time went on. Then Rasika became old and sick. So when he became very sick, he was bedridden. And one day, he told his wife and children, today, please take my bed and put it in near the tulsi plants. They said, why do you have to lie down near tulsi plant? Why don't you sleep inside? No, he will come today. Who will come? He will come today. Just do what I am saying. So they put his bed near the tulsi plant. He lay down there. And suddenly, he told his wife and children, please bring asanas. He has come. Don't you see, standing there, being an asana, he has to sit down there. They didn't understand who has come. We don't see anybody. Bring an asana, I am telling you. Put it there, he has come to take me. So Sri Ramakrishna came and then took Rasika to his divine destination. At the time of death, if you remember God, you will reach God. So that is why Sri Krishna says in verse number 7, to be able to remember God at the time of death. Otherwise, all worldly thoughts will come. What we have to do from this moment onwards, every moment, as we are performing our duties, we have to practice constant recollection of God. How to do that one? Doing all work as offering as worship. You are working, and mentally you offer Chetasa sarva karmani maya sanyasya matparaha. Chapter 18, verse 57. Chapter 330 also, maya sarvani karmani sanyasya. We studied that. Chapter 9 also it will come, verse 27. Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yat juhoshi dadasi yat, yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusha madarpanam. Whatever action you do, including eating, everything, yadashnasi, do it as an offering to me. Then what happens? Action is being done and you are offering it to God, so you are remembering God. Both things are happening. Recollection, constant recollection of God, performance of duty. You are not giving up duty to remember God. Both are happening. That is why here in verse number 7, Sri Krishna says, key verse, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. Therefore at all times, sarveshu kaleshu, at all times, mamanusmara, remember me, yudhyacha, do your duty. Don't abandon your duty because you have to remember me. Do your duty as an offering, as worship. So one more instruction, that's the main instruction, constantly remembering God, practicing constant recollection. Second line of verse number 7, Mayyarpita mano buddhihi mameva eshyasi na samshayaha. Maya arpita, dedicated to me, offered to me, what? Mana buddhi. Our mind and intellect both have to be dedicated to God. That means, in our mind we should be thinking about God. And in our intellect we should be deciding God is the only goal. I want to reach only God. That decision buddhi makes. I don't want anything in the world. I don't want bodily comfort, I don't want name and fame, I don't want eight occult powers or anything, I want only God. That is buddhi, deciding what I want. Manaha, thinking about God and performing all work with sense organs, dedicating all actions to God and doing all actions as worship of God. That way our whole personality is dedicated to God. thinking about God, speaking about God, listening, hearing about God's glories, doing all actions as worship. In this way, our whole personality, mind, body, sense organs, intellect, everything is engaged in this recollection of God, is connected with God at all times. If you do that, what happens? There is a very, very high probability that at the time of death, we will be remembering God. Then what happens? We go to God. We don't want to think about anything worldly matter at the time of death. All that can be done before. So that is the seventh answer to seventh question. Prayana kale chakatham jneyosi niyatatmabhihi. Seventh question of Arjuna. By those who have controlled their mind, how one should think about you. This is what Sri Krishna replies. So shloka number 5, 6 and 7, key shlokas. So let us stop here and I shall say the closing prayer. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om, may all be happy, may all be free from afflictions, diseases and other problems. May all realize what is noble, auspicious and dharmic, and may no one be subject to misery or suffering of any kind. Om peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts, Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings, Adi Bhautika Shanti. And may there be peace everywhere in nature, Adi Daivika Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all and stay well, and God willing, we'll continue next week.